Our boy sacrificed his precious vacation time to attend a promotional event for his favorite modern fantasy story. Inside, a corporate presentation introduces Daydream Incorporated, a magical pharmaceutical giant famous for miraculously curing absolutely anything. They shamelessly brag that they provide every single medicine humanity could ever possibly need. But suddenly, things shift to cold reality. A booming voice echoes through a massive, dimly lit auditorium, formally welcoming a fresh batch of completely clueless recruits. Our exhausted hero sits paralyzed in the crowd, realizing he was just transmigrated into the game as a lowly corporate wage slave. He immediately recognizes the legendary name Daydream Incorporated. The flashy presenter on the stage gleefully announces that this elite group has been handpicked for a very special assignment. "Congratulations, you're all assigned to the field exploration team," he cheers, laughing like an absolute maniac. The other rookies start nervously whispering around him, having never heard of this shady department before. But before our panicked boy can even think about making a run for the exit, the massive doors suddenly slam shut. The crazed presenter smirks, announcing that before they become official wage slaves, they must survive a brutal probationary period. With a theatrical flair, he snaps his fingers, declaring that they'll be judged strictly on practical field skills. Instantly, the massive auditorium plunges into pitch black darkness. The terrified rookies start panicking, nervously wondering if it's just a simple blackout. But suddenly, the floor begins to violently shake beneath them. The flickering lights snap back on, revealing a terrifying reality. They aren't inside the corporate building anymore, but somehow trapped inside the infamously deadly Abyss Metro. An automated voice eerily thanks them for riding, warning them to listen to the survival announcements. The digital screens above their heads glitch out violently. The other recruits are completely clueless, loudly debating if they just entered a hyper-realistic VR simulation. The panicked recruits aggressively bang on the sealed doors, loudly wondering what kind of crazy cutting-edge tech this is. But our boy knows better. This definitely isn't some fancy corporate escape room. He just stares blankly, realizing how incredibly batshit insane his luck really is. See, when he applied for the shiny Daydream Incorporated, he got dumped straight into the notoriously shady field exploration team. And their entrance exam is a literal death game set inside a cursed urban legend. The train cars are packed with glitching shadow demons, and if he fails here, he's dead meat. How did he even get here? Well, just a few hours ago, our exhausted wage slave was just dragging his feet home after another soul-crushing day at the office. He completely passed out on his commute, only to finally wake up on this mysterious, empty train. At first, everything looked completely normal, until he noticed the digital signs violently glitching out. He realizes this cursed urban legend is their twisted way of weeding out weak new hires. The automated voice coldly announces their arrival at Sorrow Station as the doors slowly open. They have exactly 30 seconds to disembark before the heavy doors seal shut forever. Outside lies a completely empty and foggy platform that screams danger. But these naive rookies do not sense the obvious death flags. One of them eagerly suggests they should just hop off now. A cocky guy arrogantly laughs, pointing out that, except for the creepy name, it looks normal. Our veteran wage slave calmly interrupts, asking where in Korea they have ever heard that name. The arrogant recruit instantly starts sweating after realizing our boy has a very solid point. Another sharp-looking rookie nods in agreement, suggesting they observe the situation a little bit longer. But the second the warning chime blares, panic takes over, and the idiots blindly sprint outside. One desperate idiot aggressively shoves his way through the heavy closing train doors to escape. The cocky recruit then waves mockingly at our trapped hero from the foggy platform. Recruits left inside desperately bang on the glass, utterly terrified. Above them, the train signs violently glitch. Outside, the arrogant rookie loudly scoffs, joking that the utter losers on the train will just have to fend for themselves. As they strut down the platform, black sludge oozes above. A thick glob of it drops right onto the cocky recruit's head. He barely notices, still completely smug about his brilliant instincts. Suddenly, a massive, bloody tendril violently yanks him right into the ceiling. The smart rookie freezes in horror. "What the hell is that?" he stutters, trembling helplessly as he looks straight up. Absolute chaos erupts as the remaining new hires sprint blindly for their lives. Tears stream down their panicked faces, screaming for a savior that isn't coming. Our boy just coldly watches them get slaughtered, realizing his survival instincts were spot on. He knows this sick corporate death game only punishes those dumb enough to make the wrong choice. The remaining trainees, trapped inside the red-lit train stand, completely paralyzed, trembling like cornered prey. But their brief moment of safety is painfully short-lived. The intercom coldly announces their departure as the entire train car gets drenched in nightmare juice, officially kicking off their hellish probation. See, new hires are forced into actual ghost stories for probation. While the other rookies completely lose their minds on this haunted subway train, our boy Solium sits there like a calm model employee. He smirks, thinking he's got a massive advantage over the rest of the group because he actually memorized the entire company Ghost Wiki beforehand. You might think this makes him some sort of fearless, overpowered isekai protagonist ready to bust spirits. But there's one tiny, wildly humiliating issue with that plan. The corporate slave is secretly trembling because he despises horror. Reading those text-only scary stories is perfectly fine for him. But the second a spooky image pops up on his screen, he literally passes out. Bro is such a massive wimp, he even wrote his entire job application without pictures, just to avoid looking at them. While all the other rookies completely lose their minds, Solium covers his face in sheer, agonizing shame. He remembers rejecting his actual crush just to avoid a horror movie. Now, he's stuck on the dreaded Expendables team, trapped inside a literal ghost train heading straight for Resentment Station. "Just kill me," he groans, completely ready to give up. But suddenly, a glowing notepad materializes right next to his leg. It reads, "First Darkness Exploration Record, Real Merch Box." Wait, a merch box? He nervously glances at his panicking coworkers, realizing he's the absolute only one who can see this premium gotcha drop. Deciding to mess with it quietly, he reaches out and taps the glowing book. A blinding light flashes and drops a shiny little pop socket right into his trembling hand. Wait, a pop socket? What kind of survival tool is this? Staring at the plastic junk, he realizes it's legit merch from the game. Let's flash back to a few hours ago. Our corporate slave is at a local mall, dodging normal haunted house scares, because he took precious time off just to visit the official Darkness merch store. See, he's basically the #1 fan of this entire supernatural universe. He drops a mountain of cash at the register, ignoring the whispering teenagers who assume he's some greedy scalper. "They're all for me," he cries internally. But despite using all his vacation days, there was one exclusive roulette event he skipped to protect his dignity. A grown man in a suit playing gotcha games in public? His social reputation couldn't take the hit. Just as he's mourning the missed opportunity, a staff member asks if he wants to give it a spin. The peppy employee explains the rules, but our hero isn't expecting much. He figures he'll just score a cheap notepad and head home. He smacks the red button. Bam! The machine explodes in golden light, declaring him the grand prize winner. Solium's jaw practically hits the floor. The staff enthusiastically swarms him, presenting the legendary Real Merch Box. He can't believe his insane luck. The cashier asks for his name to print a custom novelty ID card. The machine whirs to life, spitting out a sleek plastic badge. It reads, Daydream Incorporated, Field Exploration Team, Kim Solium. Our hardcore fanboy is absolutely vibrating with excitement, holding his customized replica. See, in the game's lore, the Field Exploration Team is a legendary corporate faction. They boast the highest mortality rate because they physically investigate supernatural horrors, meaning they constantly need fresh meat. "I'll cherish it forever," he lies to the cashier, secretly planning to shove the embarrassing toy into his desk drawer. But the universe calls his bluff. Suddenly, black shadows violently erupt from the mall floor. A terrifying glitched entity drags our poor fanboy straight into the void. When he wakes up, he's a corporate slave. Looking at the cheap plastic, he remembers its hidden stats. It's a C-rank artifact that visually renders pure memories into perfectly readable web pages. His desperate eyes go completely wide. He slaps the legendary pop socket onto his phone, and boom! The screen lights up. The entire company ghost wiki he memorized earlier starts instantly downloading. This dark world is packed with impossible, randomized horror tropes. But Lil Bro unlocked the ultimate survival cheat code. He frantically searches for the only thing that matters: successful past escapes. Scrolling through the successful escape logs, our corporate slave finally finds the answer. He needs to ditch this haunted train at a very specific stop. But as the intercom announces Resentment Station, a massive problem hits him. His co-workers are totally paralyzed by fear, sobbing about their impending doom. Now, you might think Lil Bro wants to play the heroic angel and save his team out of pure goodness. Absolutely not. The agonizing truth is he literally cannot escape by himself. Because if he steps out alone into a station made entirely of pulsating flesh and eyeballs, he is guaranteed to faint from sheer terror and instantly die on the spot. He absolutely needs human meat shields to drag his unconscious body to the exit. Stepping forward with a majestic aura, he prepares to manipulate everyone to save his own skin. "You have to get off with me," he dramatically declares. He just prays his cheap plastic toy actually works. Our boy steps into the train car, actively formulating a concrete survival plan. Suddenly, he spots the absolute perfect target nearby. He smoothly slides into the seat right beside her with absolutely zero hesitation. "Did you just say something about a ghost story?" he asks, locking eyes with her to show he means serious business. He plays it perfectly cool, suggesting they team up and share whatever information they have to survive this horrific nightmare. She nervously stammers about the entire auditorium suddenly transforming into a bloody subway, completely terrified, out of her own mind. "Honestly, when absurd things start happening, I completely lose my mind too," he smoothly lies to build her trust fast. But someone interrupts their little trauma bonding session early. "I was actually going to ask this guy," the terrified woman admits, pointing to the nervously smiling dude next to her. Wait a minute. Our boy instantly recognizes that face. "I'm Baek Sa-hyun," the friendly guy introduces himself. Our hero completely short-circuits, his brain desperately searching its internal wiki. This dude is actually a legendary named employee from the game. The woman eagerly jumps in, introducing herself as Go Young-gun, a name our little general absolutely doesn't recognize. Which means she either quit early or died horribly before the main plot even started. Realizing he's teamed up with a famous elite and a literal red shirt, he forces a straight face. "I'm Kim Solium," he states, officially locking in his brand new, completely miserable corporate identity. Meanwhile, the other passengers are forming groups, desperately trying to breach the front carriage. "That's definitely going to fail," Sa-hyun mutters. This ghost story strictly prohibits moving between train cars. Suddenly, the intercom announces its first stop, Rapture Station. The NPCs immediately relax, thinking a name like Rapture means absolute salvation. But our little general knows better. You simply can't judge an Abyss metro station by its cover. He mentally scrolls through the game's brutal survival wiki. Color themes? Escape success. Body parts? Brutal death. Years? Crushed in barrels. Serial killers? Strangely survivable. There is absolutely zero correlation between positive names and actual survival. "Look safe, let's step out," an oblivious NPC suggests, reaching for the doors. "Wait!" our boy screams, physically blocking her path. Are you absolutely sure this place is actually safe? He demands, trapping them with his cold, deadly glare. The clueless NPCs stare at him like he is completely insane. This is a literal ghost story. You cannot blindly risk your lives on lucky guesses. Sahyun raises a skeptical eyebrow. All right then, genius. Did you magically deduce some hidden clue? The terrified woman scoffs, convinced he is just spouting absolute nonsense. But our little general just smirks. Actually, yes, they already told us. He points a single finger toward the ceiling speakers. The onboard announcement. He reminds the bewildered passengers of the train's very first broadcast. It explicitly stated they wait for their true final destination. He stares them down. So, is yours Rapture Station? The terrified woman instantly gets defensive. Are you going to take responsibility if we all die here because of you? She screams. I will, our boy responds with zero hesitation, his deadly aura immediately shutting her up. The train doors securely slide shut. He just wanted to save these clueless extras. But this is a wild level of disrespect. Suddenly, the passengers in the front carriage violently shove their way off the train. The little general breaks into a cold sweat, dreading what comes next. The eager NPCs rush blindly onto the shiny station platform. But the second they step outside, they burst into absolutely agonizing screams. The golden floor isn't a solid platform at all. It violently melts their flesh straight into liquid gold. Our boy easily saves them from becoming very expensive puddles. The remaining survivors stare at him in absolute, pure terror. You said you'd take responsibility, a guy begs, clinging to his jacket. He has absolutely zero idea why he is their new savior, but confidently nods anyway. You're truly amazing, Sahyun beams, clearly intrigued by his quick thinking. Our little general immediately tests the elite. Is there a specific station you want? But Sahyun just plays dumb, claiming he knows nothing. The intercom warns everyone to sit for a curve, so our trio obediently takes their seats. In the next car, those idiots are still violently fighting by the doors. The terrified girl frantically tries to warn them. It's too late, our boy mutters. The demonic train instantly accelerates, leaving the horrifying, agonizing screams completely behind them. A sterile monitor cheerfully thanks them for their cooperation, casually ignoring the absolute massacre next door. The terrified red shirt completely breaks down, clutching her head and trembling like a leaf. Our exhausted corporate slave just sighs, desperately trying to formulate a plan. But another system broadcast violently interrupts the silence, sending the remaining survivors into absolute blind panic. The speakers loudly announce a lost item event, catching him off guard. Wait a minute. He instantly recognizes this obscure scenario from the wiki. It's a hidden escape route. To safely leave this cursed train, they need one morbid item. A literal, severed left eyeball. The intercom suddenly blares a horrifying announcement. Whoever hands over the left eye of a Type A male in his 20s can safely escape the demonic subway. Our newly hired corporate slave immediately connects the dots, clenching his jaw. See, there's a loophole in the company survival guide. If you sacrifice the lost item, you get a VIP ticket out of this nightmare. Since his blood type is A, our boy is the exact prime target for this morbid scavenger hunt. Before panic sets in, the oldest coworker nervously suggests they figure out who fits the description, just to be safe. He immediately clears himself, claiming he's in his 30s. The girl next to him chimes in as a Type B. When they ask our boy, he lies through his teeth to avoid a bloodbath. Oh, me? I'm Type AB. He figures he'll just stay quiet and let everyone survive by getting off at the right stop together. But then, the quiet guy in the back flashes a sinister red smile. Actually, I fit the criteria perfectly. He corners our boy, whispering with a deadly, calm voice. You told everyone you were Type A earlier today, right? The rookie freezes as this maniac towers over him. The train suddenly arrives at Anger Station. Without warning, the lunatic suddenly raises his hands with absolutely terrifying speed. He violently lunges forward right at him, moving like an absolute predator. Our boy goes stiff, expecting to lose his own eye. But in a sickening twist, he plunges his fingers straight into his left socket. The entire group violently recoils in sheer horror at the bloody spectacle. He rips the eyeball clean out, tumbling backward toward the open doors. Blood pours down his face as he stands at the exit. He cackles at the paralyzed cowards, blood dripping down his chin. What are you useless idiots just standing around waiting for? The horrifying truth dawns on them. He secured his VIP escape ticket. With a triumphant, bloody smirk, he steps off the train. Guess I shouldn't expect you losers to take responsibility for your own lives. The co-workers are left screaming in sheer terror, but our corporate slave just sighs. See, that psycho was the Viper, a notoriously unhinged character from the original story. He's known for being a complete lunatic, who would rather mutilate himself than play by the rules. As the doors close on the Viper's smug face, our boy just shakes his head. He didn't have to do all that. He walks over to the train's luggage vent and calmly pries it open. Because in this twisted ghost story, a lost item isn't something you literally cut out of your own face. He calmly pulls out a sterile glass bottle containing a floating eyeball. The rest of the surviving crew stares at him like he's completely lost his mind. It's a scavenger hunt, people. The actual items were safely hidden on the train this whole time. Meanwhile, a glitchy, terrifying announcement rings out across the station platform outside. Will the disembarked passenger please wait? Our staff will assist you. Looks like the Viper's little VIP ticket just expired. Outside, the intercom thanks the Viper for his cooperation, right as his solitary remaining eye widens in absolute horror. Before he can even scream, the station staff violently claim their VIP guest in a spectacular spray of crimson. Back inside, the surviving corporate drones hear the blood-curdling shriek echoing through the PA system and immediately pale. One of them actually has the absolute gall to worry about the damaged cornea of that psycho. Seriously? Suddenly, the train pulls into Hatred Station. Everyone instantly turns to our rookie, wordlessly begging him to make the call. The girl who claimed to be Type B nervously approaches him, sweating bullets. I know that everyone is dumping all the pressure onto you right now, and I am sorry. But I have been thinking about the final destination listed on our tickets. She looks up at him with a deadpan stare. If this is a ghost train, should our final stop not literally just be death? She nervously wrings her hands. But picking a station meaning death feels like suicide. Our corporate slave just smiles down at her panicked face. She looks up at him, utterly confused and waiting. That's a solid point, he nods, but let's think about the literal definition of a destination. It is a place someone goes to achieve a specific purpose. The train suddenly announces its next arrival, Serenity Station. He stares thoughtfully up at the ceiling vents. See, the survival rules of this twisted subway have been brutally literal from the very start. The people who safely survived the blue station literally didn't wear blue. The ones who lived through the serial killer stop weren't actual murderers. He narrows his eyes, piecing the entire puzzle together. Since this section's theme is based purely on human emotions, he glances back at his completely traumatized, physically exhausted coworkers. He just needs to pick an emotion they clearly don't possess right now. Flashing a confident grin, our rookie leads them to the doors. All right, everyone, we're getting off at Serenity. They say finding an emotion humans don't possess is nearly impossible. But if there's one exception, it's serenity. And our boy is definitely not feeling serene right now. The subway announcer cheerfully declares their next stop is Serenity Station, which is painfully ironic considering no human could ever be free from anxiety in this nightmare. Especially not on a demon train drenched in fresh blood. The corporate survivors drag their injured colleagues forward. He knows if he takes the lead, the rest of these terrified desk jockeys will blindly follow. They just have to step through the doors. But the moment they peek outside, the entire group freezes in pure horror. The platform is, quite literally, a bottomless ocean of human blood. Even our MC is second-guessing his life choices right now, desperately wishing someone else would step up. Suddenly, one of his female co-workers shouts that they should trust him and jump. She points out he's the only one who hasn't been trembling like a wet chihuahua this entire time. He just sighs internally, wondering how his paralyzing fear is getting mistaken for calm leadership. She declares that if she has to blindly trust anyone's judgment in this literal hellhole, she'd rather it be the one genuinely nice guy left. Without a single hesitation, she steps directly off the train and onto the horrifying, bloody platform. She turns back, screaming at the paralyzed group that it's perfectly safe to exit. Our boy is absolutely stunned as suddenly every single survivor starts rallying right behind him. Even the badly beaten guy gives a heroic speech about leaving him behind, before immediately collapsing onto the MC's shoulder like a total dead weight. Realizing he's now the unwilling captain of this sinking ship, our little general accepts his terrible fate. He strictly orders everyone to focus solely on the feeling of going up. The terrified corporate drones march as a unit, wading through the nightmare station until they miraculously spot an exit sign glowing in the dark. A blinding light suddenly swallows the group. Then a cheerful voice echoes out, congratulating the new hires for passing the test. But the MC isn't celebrating. His hands clench as his eyes glow with a dark realization. See, out of the massive crowd that boarded, only 8 traumatized employees from their train car make it out alive. The survivors are weeping with relief, but our boy sits in dead silence, knowing the real corporate nightmare hasn't even started yet. Suddenly, a ridiculously cheerful host steps onto the stage, booming into a microphone. He excitedly announces that exactly 22 recruits managed to survive their bloody probation test. The remaining audience stares back at him with the completely hollow eyes of traumatized war veterans. MC dryly notes that the HR department is absolutely bombing this orientation right now. To fix the mood, the host shines a dramatic spotlight onto the top elite recruit. But the young prodigy just looks like he desperately wants to jump out of a window. Don't worry, everyone gets a participation trophy. The grinning psycho hands our leader a gift bag. The MC cautiously pulls open the paper handles, and his stomach completely drops at the horrific sight inside. The host laughs like an absolute maniac. He calls the next terrified victim up to receive their mandated trauma in a bag. The grinning psycho casually reveals that each subway car was essentially operating as its own separate, horrific dimension, trapping unsuspecting humans inside a literal urban legend for God knows how long. With the traumatizing welcome gifts finally handed out, the host officially welcomes the broken survivors to the field investigation team. But just as they think the nightmare orientation is finally over, the host excitedly interrupts. He loudly declares that true fairness comes first, pointing out that some incredibly lazy recruits were totally carried. Our boy suddenly starts sweating bullets, remembering the unconscious guy he dragged out. The host flashes a completely unhinged grin, screaming into the mic that they will weed out every single freeloader. Before anyone can even process that horrifying threat, a bizarre rainbow glitch starts materializing. The terrifying, slimy anomaly slithers up to the unconscious dead weight. It creeps directly toward their heads. In the blink of an eye, the carried victims vanish into thin air. The host gleefully congratulates the remaining 13 conscious true winners. Meanwhile, the lazy freeloaders suddenly wake up completely alone, right back on the cursed ghost train. The unhinged host brightly announces that the remaining traumatized survivors have officially earned full-time positions. But our exhausted little general immediately raises a trembling hand, desperately asking to resign right away. He has definitely had enough corporate trauma for one lifetime. The brave female coworker completely agrees, nervously asking if they can safely quit right now. The psycho host smirks, promising they can walk away with absolute 0 penalties. but he practically dares them to stay and hear the compensation package first. Our boy narrows his eyes, knowing the psychological torture is over. And now comes the bait. The host dramatically unveils the company's ultimate flagship employee benefit, a glowing, magical vial known simply as a wish ticket. At the corporate orientation, a slick executive boasts about their company's insane tech, joking that if they can cure hair loss, they can do anything. He dramatically snaps his fingers to unveil the company's ultimate secret weapon. The legendary wish ticket, a specialty drug rumored to grant any desire. Claiming boring PowerPoints will just put everyone to sleep, the slick presenter smirks. "Let's just do a live demo instead," he announces. With a satisfying pop, he finally unseals the mysterious glowing blue liquid. The new recruits whisper in the dark, totally skeptical of this bizarre magic trick. Suddenly, the presenter sprouts a luscious, thick head of hair, laughing like an absolute maniac. The crowd's jaws hit the floor. The crazy bastard actually just cured his own baldness. He then hypes up the field exploration team's insane ticket rates. He gleefully points out to the crowd that the top 10 fastest ticket earners all belong to their brand new field department. But that's just some sick corporate wordplay meant to mask a very dark truth. Our boy just stares ahead with dead eyes, knowing the real reason they advance so quickly is because field agents keep getting slaughtered. The heavy silence breaks as everyone realizes the insane truth. These legendary wish tickets aren't just corporate myths after all. Without missing a beat, our tired protagonist shoots his hand up into the air. "Can a wish ticket revive the dead?" he asks, his deadpan voice slicing right through the tension in the room. He stares the executive down, desperate to know if this nightmare world actually has a reset button. The presenter just chuckles. "Normally, management would tell you that kind of miracle is totally impossible. But you'd be wrong. Our specialty tickets can genuinely grant absolutely any wish you desire." The recruits gasp in pure shock. Even our boy is completely stunned by the sheer audacity of this perk. Suddenly, the massive double doors swing wide open. The presenter declares that anyone too cowardly to stay can walk right out. For those staying, please put on the masks provided inside your welcome bags. He peeks into his glowing bag. He sighs, dreading having to wear the creepy company merch. He pulls out a sleek, pitch-black mask. A strange business card flutters out alongside it. Figuring it's a quest item, he pockets it for later. He stares at the sleek corporate gear. Honestly, our guy is seconds away from flashing a peace sign and sprinting for the nearest exit. But escaping into a world infested with supernatural anomalies? Without that wish ticket, a weak extra like him wouldn't survive a single night alone. Trapped, the little general makes his reluctant choice. He glances at the nervous recruits beside him. Taking a deep breath, he brings the mask to his face. It's do or die time. Nobody here is backing down now. As the mask touches skin, dark liquid oozes out, automatically customizing to its new owner. The shadowy slime envelops his entire head like a parasite. When the light fades, our boy is rocking a sick, pitch-black mask complete with branching deer antlers. The cute girl next to him tilts her head. "Wait, a deer?" she whispers in confusion. She slaps hers on, instantly sprouting a massive pair of mountain goat horns. The system abruptly chimes in, officially confirming the end of their probationary period. They are officially fresh meat for the corporate grinder now. But as a signing bonus, the system hands him a mysterious catalog to unlock new survival goods. The system prompts him to check out his fancy new gear catalog. But not wanting to look like an absolute weirdo waving his hands around, he quickly dismisses the glowing notification for later. Suddenly, a truly terrifying realization hits our boy. Wait a minute. Does he even have a place to sleep tonight? "Hey there," the goat horn girl chirps, completely snapping him out of his sudden existential dread. They walk toward the company elevators, both dragging heavy luggage behind them. See, our guy tried checking his phone earlier, only to find out his old university address doesn't even exist here. Even worse, his entire contacts list is completely wiped clean. He is officially stranded in this insane, supernatural dimension. With literally zero cash and nowhere else to go, he was basically forced to accept the sketchy company housing benefit. Management hyped it up as a beautiful, newly renovated building sitting in a prime location right by the station. Goat Girl nervously whispers that over half the surviving recruits actually took the bizarre deal. The little general just sighs in agreement. Let's be completely real here. In this brutal economy, refusing free rent is, honestly, way scarier than ghosts. He unlocks his fancy new apartment, completely ready to finally crash. But as he steps inside, his exhausted eyes widen in pure disbelief. There is already a handsome guy casually chilling at his kitchen table. It's Baek Sahon, the insanely overpowered protagonist of the original novel. Our boy is officially rooming with royalty. Meanwhile, Goat Girl asks the real question. Can we wish for infinite wishes? Now that is upper management material. Back at the dorm, our boy walks in on his roommate, Baek Sahon. The guy is sitting there, sporting a shiny new medical eye patch. Knowing this company, they likely just slap some cheap tape over his empty socket. Not wanting any drama, MC tries to ghost him and sprint to his room. But Sahyon barks at him to stop. The air in the room instantly drops 10 degrees as the tension spikes. Sahyon glares at him, flat out calling him a crazy son of a bitch. Did you really enjoy watching my eye get gouged out that much? He demands, cornering him. MC just freezes in place. The Cyclops menace reaches out and violently grabs his wrist, refusing to let him escape. But instead of denying it or trembling in fear, MC just smiles. Yeah, it was actually super fun. He leans in, acting like a total psychopath. Is this what dopamine feels like? Thanks for the rush, buddy. Sahyon physically recoils, completely thrown off by this level of absolute disrespect. But our little general is just getting started, casually mentioning he hopes they work together more often. I finally got to see something amusing, he whispers, flashing a perfectly unhinged grin. Make sure to get mained again so office life stays a blast. He pivots on his heel and casually strolls right out, leaving his Cyclops roommate entirely frozen in absolute, stunned bewilderment. See, from years of exhausting corporate slavery, our boy knows exactly how to handle nightmare clients. Guys like Sahan are what he calls all-creating entitled ones. They twist reality however they want, so the only counterplay is a massive, unhinged bluff to make sure he doesn't get stabbed in his sleep. Escaping to his own private quarters, the little general finally drops the act and relaxes. And honestly, the place is an absolute dream. Free housing, spotless furniture, a private bathroom, and a luxury cleaning service. Daydream Incorporated is practically burying them in carrots to keep their meat shields loyal, handing out these insane company benefits just so their shiny new employees don't immediately run away screaming. Speaking of benefits, he spots a corporate welcome kit resting on his desk. But the second he flips open the sleek provided diary, he finds the word "run" violently scrawled across the page in jagged red ink. MC just stares at the previous tenant's final warning with dead, hollow eyes, flashing a completely numb, empty smile. Thanks for the ageless wisdom, senior, he thinks, collapsing onto his plush mattress. But it's a little too late for me. Now that he is finally alone, our boy decides to thoroughly investigate that mysterious company notepad. He gives the cover a quick tap and suddenly, a literal smiley sticker pack drops out onto the floor. See, in the original lore, this was an incredibly broken item that artificially forced literal ghosts to become your best friend. In short, it is a magical corporate bribe. It was so ridiculously overpowered that the frustrated developers permanently patched it entirely out of existence. But since the little general just signed an official contract, the system bypassed the patch and unlocked the only existing copy in the world just for him. He suddenly realizes this unhinged diary is going to spit out discontinued, overpowered merch every single time he gets promoted. Sure, it will definitely keep me alive, he groans, aggressively rubbing his temples. But why did I have to get dragged into this nightmare to begin with? Later, that exact same night, exhausted beyond all human belief, our shiny new recruit finally drags himself to bed. Between surviving a haunted interview and bluffing his Cyclops roommate, today was absolutely unhinged. And the absolute worst part of all this endless trauma? He still has to clock in for his first actual shift next week. Welcome to Daydream Incorporated. Fast forward to his first morning at the corporate tower. His female colleague spots him and instantly voices her deep concern. Because our boy looks like he hasn't slept in a decade. Just a little tired, he casually lies, entirely hiding the dark fact that he's suffered through absolutely unhinged ghost nightmares all weekend long. They ride the elevator up in awkward silence until she finally hops off at the 10th floor, wishing him luck. Stepping off at floor 13, he lets out a heavy groan. I feel like even this number is predicting my tragic future. His tablet confirms his placement is D Squad, while his Cyclops roommate got dumped right into F Squad. Bracing himself for the absolute worst, he pushes open the office door. Instead of cutthroat corporate monsters, two surprisingly normal-looking human supervisors step forward to greet him. Supervisor Park throws his arms wide open. "Welcome to the 15th batch of D Squad!" He beams like a genuinely supportive boss. Our boy is relieved there's no hazing, until he remembers the dark lore. Wait, we're called the Death Squad because newbies literally die? Assistant Manager Yoon deadpans a quick, "Just kidding," to lighten the terrifying mood. But MC just stares blankly, his exhausted soul completely leaving his body. Should I just quit right now? "Welcome to the corporation," his new supervisors greet him, casually congratulating our boy on surviving the deathmatch entrance exam. Assistant Manager Yoon Hajae flashes a sharp smile, welcoming him to Team D. Supervisor Park cheerfully adds that if he manages to survive a year, he gets promoted, assuming he avoids horrible death. They tease the new recruit, demanding to know how he aced the survival test. He modestly claims he just worked hard, taking a seat while the boss is out. Suddenly, a dusty old radio on the table crackles to life on its own. The broadcast happily reports clear sunny skies and peaceful roads, which completely contradicts the pouring rain and violent road rage happening right outside. Our boy's survival instincts immediately start screaming at him. The supervisor clicks the dial off, grinning. The radio is a cursed anomaly. Park grins, deeply impressed by the rookie's razor-sharp survival instincts. He casually explains the cursed radio is just an even-fall rank anomaly, acting like a harmless daily horoscope. The new guy stares back, blankly, totally lost by the bizarre nerd jargon. Realizing our boy is completely clueless, the supervisor points him straight to a chair and aggressively shoves a company tablet right into his face. It instantly boots up a ridiculously cheesy corporate orientation video. Two cheap cartoon mascots pop on screen, cheerfully welcoming him to the field investigation team. They claim Daydream Incorporated is just a wholesome, everyday pharmaceutical company that manufactures magical medicine. But the terrifying truth? They secretly manage all the horrifying urban legends bleeding into modern reality. We're talking killer electric fans and cursed ghost elevator floors. These corporate overlords are basically keeping the supernatural apocalypse at bay. The cartoon cheerfully explains that when field agents beat the absolute brakes off these monsters, they drop dream essence. This magical liquid is then harvested to brew incredible wish-granting medicine. The video treats surviving fatal supernatural encounters like a fun team-building exercise. The new guy watches this brightly colored fever dream, completely unimpressed. Corporate has just slapped cute marketing jargon over an absolutely terrifying reality. He knows the dark truth behind this incredibly cheesy video orientation. Daydream Incorporated is not a friendly pharmacy. They are a shadow cartel, brewing elixirs that can rewrite reality itself, curing anything up to actual death. And who buys these miraculous, reality-breaking magic potions? Corrupt politicians and wealthy elites willing to pay anything for a taste of immortality. At the end of the day, hunting supernatural horrors is just a highly profitable business. The video mercifully ends, and the recruit looks like his soul just left his body. Assistant Manager Haj explains they rebrand these ghosts as darknesses to avoid sounding like massive dorks. He stands up, clapping his hands together. He cheerfully announces that it is time for field work. Our boy stares blankly, frozen in absolute shock. A dangerous expedition on his literal first day? Haj ignores the panic, scrolling his tablet. He hands the rookie a metallic syringe. This is a dream essence collector. If he loses this classified property, they will dock his pay or kill him. Supervisor Park chimes in. She demands he equip his tactical mask before they deploy. He holds up a writhing, fleshy black symbiote that looks nothing like standard protective gear. The bosses stare at the blob, deciding his official company codename will be Rodeer. The little Rodeer mascot materializes as the bosses casually instruct him to equip his cursed new mask. He grabs his company tablet, swiping open his first official mission file. But it is literally just a sketchy internet forum post. The ad offers 20 million won to survive playing tag with a ghost in an abandoned convenience store for 3 whole days. Our boy starts sweating bullets. Why are they showing him some random creepypasta? Assistant Manager Hajé just flashes a bright corporate smile through the static. He hands over the tablet, completely unbothered by the sheer insanity. He cheerfully tells the terrified new blood to just take it easy out there. A corporate system prompt officially confirms his absolute worst fears. Daydream Incorporated is actually sending an untrained intern to solo an internet-spawned nightmare on his literal first day. A blinding flash later, he materializes straight into the cursed convenience store, looking slick in his suit and creepy horned mask. Our boy instantly recognizes the exact layout from the creepy internet forum post. The digital clock ticks past midnight. Figuring this anomaly is just designed for psychological shock rather than actual murder, he confidently reaches for the fridge to grab a drink and wait out the timer. But right as his hand touches the glass, 2 massive, decaying eyes suddenly stare back at him from the dark reflection. The rookie freezes completely stiff as a terrifying corporate realization hits him. A rotting hand slams violently against the glass right in front of his face. His brief moment of fake confidence completely shatters. Without a single second of hesitation, our terrified little general turns around and sprints for his absolute life. But as the clock flashes midnight, the entire twisted nightmare restarts from the beginning. Our corporate slave is panicking. He has to survive this haunted grocery shift for 3 whole days without dying once. Worse, if he gets caught, he's sent right back to the start in an endless time loop of torment. Our boy desperately ducks behind a counter to catch his breath and rethink his route. But he barely settles down before a grotesque, wide-eyed ghost face drops right down beside him. He slaps a hand over his mouth, trembling like a stray dog in a blizzard. Honestly, the little general fully expected a cheap horror cliché jump scare like this to happen eventually. But he knows that even one tiny flinch in the dark means an instant game over. Since pulling out his glowing phone to check the manual would immediately expose his position, he has to rely purely on his memory to spot the scheduled anomalies. He frantically racks his mind for a specific exploration log. See, the game's massive fan-written wiki got so predictable that sadistic players started injecting twisted curveballs right into the established lore. One team got trapped, surviving their 12 hours, but the nightmare refused to end. Chased for 4 extra agonizing hours by a phantom, just because some absolute idiot accidentally snipped a very vital phone cord. Without that connection, the monstrous doctor missed his automated end-of-shift rotation call, meaning his terrifying, blood-soaked night shift literally never came to an end. Once players finally fixed the cord, the phone rang, and the grotesque, multi-headed monster doctor completely vanished right on the spot. The little manager's eyes snap wide open. That is it! There are specific hidden triggers buried very deep within these ghostly events. He just needs to figure out what anomaly stalls his escape. If the automated phone call ends the shift, what happens if he forces the system trigger to go off early? Our boy realizes he might just be able to completely break this nightmare loop. But before he can plan his route, his vision is violently flooded with bright red system warnings, loudly screaming at him to summon an employee. The grotesque phantom is hovering right behind him in the dark, deliberately toying with its terrified prey. He clenches his fists. He absolutely refuses to give up and die like a dog here. If he can just slip past this nightmare and reach the front desk, he might survive. He dives, but the monstrous entity is already right above his face, thick drool splashing onto his screen. Our corporate slave desperately scrambles backward, throwing his body across the freezing tiles just as the ghost lunges. He hits the freezing floor hard. "I can't survive 3 whole days," he gasps, desperately formulating a completely unhinged plan. He spots the digital clock displaying April 4th. He scrambles over to the convenience store's refrigerated food section. What specific anomaly is absolutely guaranteed to happen in 3 days? The expiration dates. He frantically digs through the stock until he grabs a cheap hamburger steak scheduled to expire on April 7th. Dragging himself across the filthy floor to avoid detection, he carefully reaches the main cash register. He types furiously on the keyboard, praying the system is not locked. He deliberately changes the store's internal POS system date, skipping it 3 whole days ahead. The screen flashes a successful modification prompt, and our exhausted boy smirks. He finally beat the nightmare system. But right on cue, a barcode scanner beep echoes through the dark. The register screen instantly flashes red, loudly declaring that expired products have been found. He freezes. The grotesque phantom is now mere inches from his neck. The monster whispers for him to turn around, its rotting face hovering right over his shoulder. But our little general completely ignores the bait, forcing his eyes down. With sweat pouring down his face, he blindly aims the glowing scanner. He slams the laser right across the cheap hamburger steak's barcode. The system demands confirmation for disposal, and our boy violently hammers the enter key. Since the store's twisted logic mandates that employees must instantly throw out expired food, the nightmare entity itself is suddenly classified as trash. It screams in absolute agony as the system forcibly deletes its existence. Our exhausted manager collapses, taking his first real breath in hours. The store lights finally flicker back to normal, officially marking the end of his horrifying night shift. A receipt spits out. He actually finally did it. He praises the beautiful store lights, ready to clock out. Suddenly, the cash drawer violently bursts open, overflowing with crisp bills. He remembers a wiki post mentioning this specific ghost story actually showers players with cash. Turns out the sadistic phantom is just a generous boss with a terrible sense of humor. Our corporate slave instantly forgives the trauma. Meanwhile, back outside headquarters, his seniors are casually strolling around, assuming the new hires are locked in survival tests for 3 days. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupts in front of them. When the dust settles, our little general casually announces he finished the job. The seniors are absolutely speechless. That nightmare has a mandatory minimum clearance time of 72 hours. This absolute madman broke the system, escaping in just 1 hour and 24 minutes. About an hour ago, his 2 bosses take a quick smoke break. They threw the newbie into isolation, basically a twisted hazing ritual. Plenty of recruits quit over this. HR throws middle fingers at them for the turnover rate. But there is a grim reason. If you cannot handle the dark, you will end up a permanent red stain on the floor. Nobody wants to scrape a rookie off the pavement. It is bad for morale. But this new kid, he breezed through his probationary period like it was a complete joke. His bosses are mind blown. The guy is so calm, it actually freaks them out. Most rookies wet their pants reading the job description, but he did not blink. They are practically falling in love with his iron mentality. After all, they deal with urban legends. Cowards need not apply. Cut to their supposed nerves of steel rookie screaming and sprinting down the hallway for his absolute life. Oh, and he also forgot to take notes. Brilliant. Meanwhile, the new kid stares at his empty notebook. The manager sighs, planning to lecture him on how taking memos literally keeps you alive here. His partner chuckles, agreeing to teach him later. After all, they expect our boy to be trapped in that dimension for 3 days. Suddenly, the tablet buzzes like crazy. He checks the screen and completely freezes in absolute shock. Less than an hour has passed, and their supposed dead meat rookie is already back. He nonchalantly holds up a vial filled with the target objective. Both bosses are absolutely dumbfounded. A 3-day minimum survival mission, cleared in 60 minutes? Our boy looks entirely traumatized, wheezing that he almost died of a sudden heart attack. Back in the lounge, the manager demands to know exactly how he escaped the curse so early. The rookie just deadpans that he simply sped up the flow of time. He casually explains he forced the ghost's hidden trigger event to happen early, just so he could finally clock out. The manager realizes he treated the survival trial like a simple math puzzle. He literally hacked the Ghost Dimension's rules just to avoid working overtime. His bosses exchange a stunned look. They found a literal goldmine. They are never letting this prodigy quit now. Even his partner begs the rookie to remember him when he inevitably becomes a top corporate executive. But the little menace quickly ruins the heroic mood. Looking completely traumatized, he whines that he only rushed the mission because he was terrified of dying. The manager smirks, deciding to bust out the ultimate corporate weapon to secure his loyalty. He smoothly slides a fat bag of hazard pay across the table. Usually the company takes half, but his new boss generously lets him keep the entire 10 grand. Our boy immediately starts sweating bullets over the praise. See, he secretly pocketed the other half for himself earlier. But before the guilt can crush him, it is time to blow those points at the Supernatural Employee Mall. He boots up the company's Supernatural Amazon. An F-rank mission nets him a measly 100 points. He clicks the catalog to see what his life is worth. Surprisingly, the mall offers regular household items like robot vacuums. But he wants the ultimate prize, a wish ticket back home. His jaw drops. The mystical ticket costs 500,000 points. Desperate, he checks higher ranks. B-rank missions pay 10 grand each, but B ranks have a brutal 2% survival rate. Doing the grim math, he would need to clear 150. The poor guy's soul literally leaves his body in sheer despair. His cheerful partner suddenly leans over, asking if he got paid. Trying to recover, he notices the cute mascot items on his desk. Then, his partner casually drops a truly terrifying bombshell on him. This workspace actually belongs to their notoriously ruthless squad leader. Realizing he is squatting at a monster's desk, he immediately panics. The partner invites him for a smoke break, but he refuses. Alone at the desk, our boy realizes he needs a concrete survival plan. Bending a few corporate rules shouldn't hurt, right? He boldly grabs the monster squad leader's ID badge. The terrifying boss actually left his login and password right on a sticky note. 0 security awareness. He eagerly types it into the Executive Welfare Mall. After capitalizing the first letter, he successfully breaches the higher-up network. He does a cautious little fist pump in victory. See, the company network has a hidden black market called the Alien Shop. Extraterrestrials planted an illegal phishing link to sell shady, overpowered gear strictly to executives. To access it, he clicks the innocent cat mascot and furiously mashes the back button 5 times. A shady pop-up immediately blasts his screen. They are offering a massive 80% discount for new customers. He deadpans at the incredibly lame graphics. But he needs this market. This greedy company normally steals half of your mission points. And for a rookie's first assignment, they snatch absolutely everything. His partner claims the monster squad leader perfectly resembles this frog doll. Honestly, it is completely cursed. See, our corporate slave discovers a tacky, ancient-looking internet ad that's actually exclusive promotional ransomware for a VIP shopping mall. If you click it, it aggressively forces you straight to their domain. But since company PCs log every single move you make, our boy sweats a little and smartly screenshots the URL to investigate it safely off the clock. Later that night in his apartment, he settles in for some cyber sleuthing. He types the shady glitch text web address directly into his personal smartphone, and the screen immediately has a digital stroke. It spasms into a retro 8-bit nightmare called the Space Shopping Mall. A pixelated UFO pops up to welcome him. He stares at the screen, absolutely disgusted that it isn't even optimized for mobile. But you can't let this cheap bootleg aesthetic fool you at all, because the mysterious items this little alien is about to show him are completely and truly out of this world. See, the retro inventory is absolutely packed with bizarre and insanely overpriced artifacts. But our boy actually recognizes over half these cheat items from the original story, pumping his fist in victory. He carefully weighs his options, needing to stretch that 20 million won bonus he squeezed out of the convenience store ghost. Confidently tapping the screen, he locks in the perfect starter kit. A cheerful little prompt announces his items are currently on a rocket, leaving the corporate slave completely baffled. A menacing 3-second countdown suddenly blares right out of his phone. Before he can blink, a swirling cosmic wormhole violently rips open right across his apartment ceiling. 2 heavy cardboard packages drop straight out of the literal stratosphere towards him. He safely catches them with a heavy thud, staring blankly down at the strange tape. Forget normal same-day delivery, because this bootleg alien shop just hit him with that instant interdimensional rocket shipping. He eagerly tears open the cardboard, blinded by a heavenly glow. Inside sits the legendary Alice picnic set and a silver serpent coin. The tin holds magic snacks, where drinks double an item's effect and cookies have it. But that shiny silver coin is the real prize. See, this universe lets you exchange ghost currencies for cold hard cash. He clasps his hands, banking everything on this interdimensional investment going straight to the moon. He smartly skipped offensive gear like the blood-sucking cutlery. Because honestly, what good is a vampire fork against a literal ghost? And getting caught extracting essence from spirits was not on his daily agenda. Plus, if his boss caught him with a cursed radio, he would never explain it without getting fired. So he proudly locks in his 2 perfect starter choices. A massive, genuine smile finally breaks across his exhausted face. It feels absolutely incredible to actually own his favorite fantasy items. The only downside to buying cursed interdimensional merchandise is that spirits come as a package deal, ruining his sleep. The next morning at company headquarters, his cheerful senior announces they're tackling a D-rank ghost story like a simple training exercise. He hands our boy a massive tablet detailing the Tuesday quiz show. It's a deadly anomaly where getting a single question wrong triggers a brutal penalty. The senior generously offers to print out a paper copy for him to study. But our exhausted corporate slave instantly declines. He taps his temple, coolly revealing he already memorized the entire answer sheet perfectly. His coworkers stare at him in sheer, absolute disbelief. But suddenly our boy realizes their actual squad leader is missing from the office. Their blue-haired manager frantically argues on her cell phone. She marches back over with terrible news. Upper management lost their minds and ordered the 3 of them to enter the anomaly completely alone. His senior cheerfully flashes a thumbs up, expecting our boy to carry them. But the corporate slave is secretly, internally screaming. Their blue-haired manager steps up, trying her best to project confidence. She calmly tells him not to be nervous, completely missing his absolute glare of pure terror. He realizes this terrifying death trap is his direct cosmic karma for extorting 20 million won from that convenience store ghost. See, the real problem is he has zero memory of this anomaly from his meta-knowledge. He searches the database, sweating over how massive this universe's unrecorded lore is. To trigger the event, they simply need to fill out a cursed vintage postcard. They each sign their designated company code names in the sender line. The exact moment the pen clicks, reality violently shatters around them. A massive retro neon sign officially welcomes them to the terrifying Tuesday quiz show. A live phantom band kicks off to start the deadly broadcast. But the creepy game show announcer suddenly booms through the studio, demanding even more energy. Our corporate slave stares in absolute horror, completely frozen on the neon stage. The invisible studio audience erupts into massive, deafening applause as the band's cymbals crash wildly. The main host steps right into the spotlight, rocking a literal vintage television for a head. He flashes a pixelated smiley face and elegantly bows, ready to begin this sick game of life and death. The stage lights violently snap on. "Welcome to the Tuesday Quiz Show," a booming voice echoes through the massive studio as a white-gloved hand reaches out. Our overworked corporate slave suddenly finds himself trapped behind a glowing contestant podium labeled Roe Deer. The eccentric host isn't even human. He is a sharply dressed maniac rocking an entire vintage television for a head. He strikes a ridiculously dramatic pose, demanding the invisible audience scream for their lives to hype the broadcast. But honestly, our exhausted salaryman isn't even sweating this bizarre setup. See, compared to the absolute terrifying monster of the convenience store he just barely survived, this guy is hilariously mild. Taking in the vintage American broadcast set, he figures outsmarting a literal blockhead is basically just a paid company vacation. But then suddenly, a terrifying memory clicks into place. This is not the harmless D-rank quiz corner he thought it was. That creepy smile belongs to something infinitely worse. Our corporate slave realizes he is actually trapped inside the infamous Incident A104. An anomaly so catastrophic, it forced the company to completely restructure their entire danger grading system. A legendary abyss-rank death trap that mercilessly slaughtered countless veteran employees. The color completely drains from the poor guy's face as the horrible truth sets in. The number of officially recorded survivors for this cursed broadcast? A big, fat 0. Every single person who ever stood on this stage was violently butchered. A sharp clapperboard echoes through the studio as the host screams for action, officially starting the broadcast of doom. He looks left and right, noticing his fellow contestants. According to the company's survival manual, the first 99 broadcasts were totally safe. The legendary massacre didn't actually happen until episode 111. The host enthusiastically introduces his veteran co-workers, Badger and Falcon. As the confetti rains down, the host announces the current episode. Episode 110. Wait, 110? A massive wave of relief crashes over our boy as the math clicks. This is the 99th exploration. He isn't walking into the slaughterhouse at all. His senior co-workers look completely relaxed, proving this is just a standard run. Still, he clenches his sweaty fists, reminding himself to keep his guard up. This is still a cursed anomaly, and one wrong move could get him kicked out. To survive, he must remember the golden rule. Any disruptive action during the live broadcast results in immediate incineration. The insane host immediately zeroes in on our nervous hero. But the salaryman plays it cool, blaming his sweat on stage fright. Buying the lie, the host tosses out an easy first question. Which element is not a component of a human? The answer is, obviously, soil. The host cheers, and the veterans easily clear their rounds, too. As the game continues, our boy pretends to struggle just to build tension. He finally blurts out his next morbid answer. Strangulation. Another correct guess. The host completely eats up the fake hesitation. Realizing the trick works, he just follows the manual. He smoothly answers every twisted question, keeping the cursed audience thoroughly entertained. With a flawless 99% clear rate, It's time for the final question. The host dramatically spins, locking his screen onto our boy. Are you ready, Mr. Roe Deer? Gulping down his fear, the salaryman nods. The board flashes the ultimate quiz. At what percentage of blood loss does a human die? Without hesitating, our corporate slave confidently locks in all 4 options. The studio goes dead silent as the host completely glitches out. Wait, did he just break the cursed game? The host explains that humans die after losing 40%, meaning every answer is technically correct. A producer furiously tries to intervene, but the TV maniac just bursts into applause. The writers originally only planned for option 1, but the insane host finds this multiple-choice bloodbath way more entertaining. The blockhead burst into uncontrollable laughter, officially declaring the chaotic answer a perfect score. Our exhausted salaryman nearly collapses, thanking his lucky stars. As the live broadcast wraps up, the terrified producers let out a massive sigh. To make things even crazier, the host formally crowns our boy the episode's MVP. A producer politely hands him his shiny prize box. But he doesn't even care. He just wants to go home. The host cheerfully signs off, promising to see them Tuesday. But right as he announces tomorrow's special guests, the entire vintage studio violently glitches out. A horrific digital screech pierces the air, completely freezing the producers in sheer terror. Wait, the broadcast is supposed to be officially over. The studio lights abruptly shatter, and the veteran contestants stand completely frozen. He turns to his senior coworkers, watching them stand completely paralyzed in the pitch-black studio. Before he can even process what is happening, a chilling mechanical click suddenly echoes through the room. The giant digital episode board slowly ticks upward, locking on to a terrifying new number, 111. The maniac didn't mean next Tuesday. The legendary Abyss-ranked bloodbath is officially starting right now. Looks like this company vacation just became mandatory overtime in hell. The exploration team stands frozen under the bright studio lights. They look terrified, sweating like sinners in church. Our corporate drone is stunned to see his coworkers here. What's going on? He mutters in pure disbelief, realizing his poor coworkers are now officially trapped as contestants inside the deadly Tuesday quiz show. A brutal system warning flashes, threatening that anyone who interrupts the live broadcast will be instantly incinerated. Suddenly, a massive, fiery blast rips through the studio set, scorching the air. Our boy snaps his head back in terror. A monitor happily flashes a twisted surprise graphic. He realizes this was just a sick preview for next week. He sweats bullets, staring at the camera and remembering the rules. If I don't look respectful, I'm dead, he panics, desperately forcing his trembling body to freeze. He plasters on a painful, sweating smile. Confetti rains down as he holds his stiff pose behind the podium. The heavy spotlight fades. The strange host happily wraps up the broadcast, wrapping an arm around our antlered hero. He flashes a cheerful digital wink to the audience. The second the camera's cut, the host wipes his screen in relief. A janitor quietly sweeps up the remaining scorched ashes. The host praises the rookie for thinking fast and even offers him a permanent spot as a panelist. Meanwhile, his terrified coworkers tremble helplessly in the dark background. The host turns to them, cheerfully promising they will get to play next time. Then he leans in to whisper a dark secret. His digital face drops into a sad frown. Unfortunately, I have some difficult news. He sighs heavily. The TV head sighs. Our boy's heart drops into his stomach. The quiz show is canceled, the digital host cheerfully announces. But don't worry, you are all invited into the news segment. The rookie's blood runs entirely cold. He knows this means absolute danger. He immediately raises his trembling hand to interrupt the maniac. Since I already played my part, I will just be heading home. But the cameras are still rolling. The screen hisses with violent red static. The metallic freak leans over him, practically smelling his absolute terror. It is highly problematic to back out midway. Are you really refusing? It threatens. Our hero instantly folds like a cheap lawn chair. My mistake! I had no idea! He knows if he does not perfectly defuse this right now, absolutely everyone in the studio dies. He desperately racks his trembling brain for a viable excuse to run. But before he can even speak, a creepy shadow producer flashes a cue card. The metallic maniac cheerfully orders everyone back to their designated seats. The show must go on, the twisted host violently beams, completely ignoring our boy's absolute panic as the countdown hits 0. The broadcast goes live, and the freakish presenter proudly introduces a brand new segment to replace the canceled quiz. What truly moves the heart is melody, the host announces, raving about the sheer beauty of the human voice. Pure dread completely washes over the terrified rookies as they realize exactly what this psycho means. A massive, blood-weeping pig monster violently emerges from the shadows. The host wildly throws his hands up to welcome everyone to the deadly Tuesday choir. The weeping pig monster stares blankly into the lights. The metallic host hypes up its magnificent melodies, waiting for the great instrument. But the dark stage remains entirely dead silent. The freak realizes he forgot the props. Heavy iron chains violently crash down. 13 massive silver scales drop onto the studio floor. Each rusted plate is carved with horrifying, screaming faces. The psychotic presenter cheerfully turns to the trembling rookies. He singles out the nervous guy for the very first attempt. Which has the longest lifespan? The screen flashes. Pig, human, rabbit, or flea? The terrified worker desperately screams that humans live the longest. A correct buzzer rings out, and the guy smiles, thinking he survived. Instead, a massive blade instantly slices his throat wide open. His fresh blood viciously rains down into the silver plates. The monstrous pig weeps blood as the first grotesque instrument is fully prepared for the show. The severed head rests on the silver platter, magically forced to sing a horrified a cappella. His poor coworker shrieks in pure agony as his cursed voice desperately calls out her name. The metallic host instantly points to the next trembling victim. Refusing to become a living instrument, the masked man intentionally screams that he doesn't know the answer. But a brutal elimination means instant death anyway, and his headless body collapses to the floor. Our antlered hero watches the massacre in absolute spine-chilling horror. He quickly realizes that answering correctly turns you into a screaming prop, while failing gets you executed. It is an impossible, deadly trap, and he suddenly realizes that he doesn't even know his own team's names. The psychotic host chuckles, eager for more blood. Let's meet our next participant. A heavy red spotlight violently snaps onto our completely terrified rookie. Your turn, Mr. Badger. He is officially trapped between a rank D maniac and a terrifying rank A monstrous conductor. The game master finally singles out our boy, Mr. Badger, for the next twisted question. And the stakes? They are absolutely brutal. Everyone who gets the correct answer just ends up getting beheaded or incinerated anyway. A blood-red noose lowers from the dark ceiling, reminding him that a single mistake means an instant game over. At this rate, he figures a total coward like him is just guaranteed to die. But wait, he slaps himself out of the panic spiral. He can't give up yet. He realizes the aura radiating from his terrifying coworker, Kim Solium, isn't just regular horror. It's like staring down a massive, inescapable natural disaster. He clutches his phone, reminding himself that since he read the wiki for this world, he actually has the highest survival rate here. His coworker absolutely loses his mind, screaming that the answer is human at the top of his lungs. The TV host ignores the outburst and turns back to our sweating hero. Badger nervously clears his throat. Can I say something real quick before I lock in my answer? He pulls a classic sob story out of thin air, claiming his sick relative is in the hospital and begging the crew to check on her when this is all over. The monster really doesn't care, aggressively demanding his final answer. Instead of speaking, our nervous guy just boldly raises his trembling hand. The room completely freezes in sheer panic, You absolutely do not interrupt the terrifying executioner. He puts on his best acting face. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, but I feel way too dizzy. Can I rest a moment? The TV host pauses, glancing down at a small smiley face sticker sneakily slapped onto his monitor. He calmly raises a gloved hand, dramatically snaps his fingers, and actually calls for a long break. His coworkers are absolutely flabbergasted that he didn't just get instantly incinerated for his reckless stalling. Badger sighs in massive relief. He realized this twisted game was a previously recorded broadcast, meaning pauses were technically allowed. Combine that sneaky loophole with a friendship sticker and an energy drink, and he just perfectly gamed the entire system. The TV monster host laughs, claiming his antenna is acting up, and casually asks for a glass of water before the killing resumes. The studio crew actually falls for the distraction, leading our boy with the fake antlers straight to the backstage waiting room. He flashes a strained, panicked smile at the camera, sweating absolute bullets. A massive 30-minute survival timer starts ticking down. As he shuffles away, his terrifying purple-haired manager smoothly brushes past his shoulder. She covertly shoves a hidden object deep into his suit pocket, dangerously whispering for him to check it entirely alone. Safe in the empty room, he collapses against the wall. His heart is absolutely hammering. 30 minutes is barely enough time to stop a live execution. He quickly digs into his pocket and pulls out a tiny, ordinary coat button. Realizing it's slightly squishy, he pinches the metal edges together, hearing a faint click. Suddenly, a ringing tone echoes right inside his ear. A cold, mechanical voice answers the line. Lee Jahon speaking. Could this mysterious guy be his golden ticket out of here? On the other end of the line is a mysterious, white-haired man. The voice immediately recognizes the device belongs to their terrifying assistant manager. Badger quickly introduces himself as a newbie and drops an absolute bombshell. Look, there's zero time to explain, but my entire squad is going to be brutally murdered in exactly 30 minutes. He braces himself, expecting the guy to just laugh in his face or call him a total lunatic. Instead, the man's tone stays chillingly flat as he calmly asks for a 5-minute briefing. Our desperate hero begs the leader to somehow buy them another 30 minutes of break time. But the cold voice just bluntly replies that stalling any longer is completely impossible. Badger clenches his fist in frustration, wondering if this corporate ice block thinks their lives are just some kind of twisted joke. He asks if an extra half hour would even change anything. The guy brutally breaks down the corporate red tape. It takes nearly an hour just to get security approval and rent the supernatural gear needed to raid the broadcast studio. Wait, to have that much pull, he realizes this voice isn't just some random suit. He's a named, high-tier character with serious influence. Sweating bullets, our boy asks for the leader's exact mask name. If he's the powerhouse from the wiki, they actually have a shot at surviving. Suddenly, the audio blares, his coworkers screaming the final answer. Thankfully, the TV host is still enjoying a 30-minute spa break backstage. The monster strolls over, completely cheery, asking if our fake antlered hero is ready to resume the death game. Seeing the friendly tone, Badger smirks. That smiley sticker is still working its magic. He tightly grips the communication button, his master plan totally locked. He glances at his terrifying manager, vowing to escape. He approaches the deadly executioner. "Excuse me, Mr. Host," he whispers. "I have a proposal for you." Standing before the terrifying TV-headed host, our boy really needs to shift the mood. Sweating bullets, he realizes there's only one way out of this. He starts violently glazing the host's insane production value. Throwing away his remaining shame, he praises the host's flawless delivery and flexibility. The host eats it up, his screen flashing a massive smiley face. He humbly calls it a team effort, but our corporate slave quickly pivots. He admits he is deeply disappointed by the recent broadcast changes. The live band is gone. The audience has been replaced with cheap, fake, canned laughter. Staring at the old posters, he drops a corporate truth bomb. They only ruin the show to cut costs. He boldly asks if it was all to accommodate a special guest's booking. He realizes the host probably hates these changes just as much. The host coldly brushes him off, telling him not to worry about it. Realizing he pushed too far, our corporate slave instantly starts damage control. If the viewers prefer this format, adapting is just part of showbiz, the monster replies. But our boy doubles down, desperately declaring his love for the original show. He praises the live interaction, the real-time energy, making sure his performance as a disappointed fan is flawless. The host goes dead silent, his screen reduced to pure static. An intercom blares, announcing the break is over. Perfect timing. As the broadcast resumes, our boy realizes something crucial about his team leader's mask. Wait, it looks exactly like a lizard. The host turns back to his main victim, demanding the final answer. Our corporate slave prepares for the worst, assuming his boss will just admit he has no clue. And in this nightmare game, a wrong answer means becoming a living, screaming human instrument for eternity. Incineration would literally be a mercy. With only 3 seconds left on the clock, the team leader starts sweating profusely. But at the absolute last second, he shouts out the correct answer. The host is absolutely thrilled, instantly ordering his crew to bring the winner into the chorus of glory. As the terrifying host celebrates, a strange document drops from the ceiling above. See, our boy remembered his comms device can send tiny physical objects directly into the ghost story. He told his boss outside to throw something through the portal, and to throw it as hard as humanly possible. Instantly, a massive energy blade rips through the stage. It absolutely decimates the monster crew in one single devastating shot. But what legendary weapon caused this insane destruction? A single heavily dented AAA battery. Our boy just sighs, completely unsurprised. He knew this insane loophole would work flawlessly. Because Team Leader Lizard is their combat specialist, a total meathead who solves supernatural mysteries with pure brute force. See, instead of fighting an unkillable ghost directly, they just aimed for its giant musical instrument. Without any background music playing, the show's supernatural flow is completely paralyzed. The host nervously looks around the empty stage, demanding to know why the glorious initiation sequence has suddenly stopped. But that single tiny pause in the live broadcast, it completely shatters the illusion of the dimension, breaking the established rules. Our corporate slave watches in sheer, absolute terror. The host starts violently glitching out, his paper bag mask tearing open to reveal the true monster. A horrifying, unnatural, and completely deafening scream instantly floods the entire studio. Before the nightmare finally crashes into a terrifyingly heavy and oppressive silence. But instead of dying, the host slowly rises, his violently glitching form starting to stabilize. He dramatically clutches his hand, declaring that the corporate producers never respected this program. Suddenly, a massive burst of blinding, fiery energy erupts right out of his torn body. He furiously screams that real showbiz is never about flashy guests or cheap budget cuts. Our boy watches in absolute shock as the screaming monster's true, strangely handsome face is finally revealed. The demon claims true entertainment is about the joy of communication and unforeseen twists. Stepping forward through the burning flames, he issues his final, terrifying verdict. Since those executives lack vision to make a real show, he will do it himself. He aggressively reaches toward the screen, his stylish suit glitching with raw, supernatural power. This supposedly D-rank monster just burned down an entire A-rank dimension. Staring down at our bleeding corporate slave, the host actually thanks him for providing a true vision. Pointing straight at the terrified boy, the demon praises his producing talent, cheerfully promising to invite him back for the next broadcast. Suddenly, the trio crashes back into the real-world office, completely drained. They silently stare into space for a few seconds, before violently tackling each other in a massive, ugly crying group hug. Surviving this insane nightmare was pure luck. But clutching a newly acquired glowing artifact, our boy knows the corporate grind never stops. His senior stares in absolute stunned disbelief. He orders the rookie to check his brand new essence collector. The glass vial rapidly fills with pure, golden, supernatural energy. Our boy just casually cleared an A-rank disaster on his second day of work. While our boy Solium was fighting for his life on day 2, the rest of the rookies were dealing with their own corporate nightmares. Take Young Un here, the unlicensed medic. She managed to scrape together 66 points from 2 basic anomalies, which is crazy good for a newbie. She has just relieved the office hazing, isn't fatal yet. But with a wish ticket costing 500,000 points, she knows it will take a literal lifetime. Wondering if the others are struggling just as much, she checks her phone, only to see the company group chat absolutely exploding. Everyone is losing their minds over a notice that a certain masked rookie just solo cleared a mission. Her jaw instantly hits the floor. Meanwhile, rewinding to that exact same afternoon, the other surviving recruits are literally clinging to each other. They are chugging anomalous cough syrup to heal up. After bleeding from every hole in their faces during the quiz show, they are thrilled to be breathing. They thought they were dead meat, but thanks to Solium, they lived to see another shift. Back in the break room, his fellow survivor is practically kissing the ground he walks on. He buys him a massive mountain of office snacks, totally ignoring Solium's protests that the artifact did all the heavy lifting. But their strict assistant manager isn't having it. She crushes a cup, absolutely furious they nearly died on a measly D-rank mission. Swiping a cookie, she admits management has no idea what caused the blackout. She seriously considers quitting before they all get promoted to early graves. Suddenly, her phone buzzes. The executives want to see our boy. Solium gulps. He is finally about to meet the legendary section chief, the famous employee D, who supposedly survived a nightmare anomaly using just AAA batteries. Bracing himself for a hardened veteran, Solium opens the door, only to lock eyes with a giant white reptile. The cold-blooded manager casually greets him, completely shattering his reality. His brain immediately goes into overdrive, trying to rationalize the scaly beast in a suit. Sweating bullets, he desperately convinces himself it's just lingering trauma from that creepy TV-headed game show host. But then he notices the human mask hanging from his belt. Reality crashes down on him like a heavy ton of bricks. His clueless coworker slaps his shoulder, joking that he's just starstruck by how handsome the chief is. The executive leans in, his reptilian eyes locking onto our sweating rookie. The beast tests him with a low whisper, directly asking if he sees anything unusual. Solium's corporate survival instincts violently kick into maximum overdrive. Swallowing his absolute terror, he blatantly lies through his teeth, swearing his vision is perfectly normal and seeing only humans. He locks into a deadpan stare. Talk about having full-speed corporate survival reflexes. The giant lizard boss simply nods his head, accepting the desperate bluff. Solium mentally pats himself on the back, holding his poker face. He realizes he's the only one seeing this disguise. Moving on, they explain the blackout's true cause. Turns out some idiot in management accidentally double-booked the exact same death game anomaly for 2 different teams at once. The other squad stepped out for coffee, desyncing the timeline and triggering the overlap. But despite the massive casualty rate, the higher-ups actually refused to upgrade the mission to an A rank. The assistant manager is absolutely furious at the disrespect and tries to storm out. Her coworker desperately holds her back, but the chief stops her cold with a classic corporate tactic. Absolute hush money. To keep them quiet, they are giving each surviving employee a massive 30,000 points. Solium stares blankly as the chief casually adds that, as top contributor, he gets an extra 10,000. His coworker instantly celebrates the massive, unexpected payout, while the assistant manager just sulks in silence. She apologizes to our boy, embarrassed that company policy prevents them from transferring their points directly to him. But internally, Solium is actually secretly thrilled. He knows that getting promoted at lightning speed would just throw him into even worse paranormal nightmares. In this hellish company, standing out is a quick way to get yourself killed. He prefers staying under the radar. Eager to see the cash, the trio immediately huddles around the nearest computer to verify their shiny new hazard pay. Thinking back to that crazy masked host, he realizes the insane risk might actually just be worth it. The strict assistant manager efficiently logs him into the company employee portal, and his jaw hits the absolute floor. His account balance is sitting at a massive 40,000 points. His brain instantly does the math. He just knocked out 8% of the impossible wish ticket in a single day. His clueless coworker happily nudges him in pure, unfiltered joy. Riding the adrenaline high of surviving a literal corporate death trap, the assistant manager flashes a brilliant smile, suggesting they blow some of that hazard pay on a celebratory dinner. Adjusting his tie in the golden sunlight, the giant reptilian boss silently agrees, and our boy realizes corporate hell might just have a silver lining. The crew hits up a local meat joint. Our boy tries grabbing the tongs, but his senior instantly shuts him down. He is not trying to be a kiss-up. He just desperately needs to avoid staring at that extremely terrifying reptile face. It is painfully clear the rest of the squad just sees normal humans. Still, the atmosphere is fine today. A little liquid courage definitely helps take the edge off. It has been forever since he could eat without entertaining any snooty clients. His master plan? Binge cartoons and sleep with the lights on. But then his scaly boss asks if he plans to spend his points. Rodeer smoothly replies he is saving up for a coveted wish ticket. Then he treats the squad leader like a literal search engine. Got any good recommendations? The boss does not hesitate. Custom equipment? The young rookie blinks. He didn't expect to hear about that cheat code so soon. See, Daydream Incorporated gives out highly specialized gear to its top earners. Without it, frail corporate drones would just get instantly slaughtered by high-level entities before extracting any valuable essence. The higher your rank, the crazier the loot. It does not turn you into Superman, just gives your baseline stats a desperately needed bump. Later, the squad heads over to the isolated annex building. This heavily guarded wing stores relatively safe anomalies. The sniper explains they call these evenfall ranks. Weird but useful items wedged between deadly threats and complete junk. And surprisingly, this very facility is exactly where the company manufactures that coveted custom gear. Our boy's encyclopedic gamer memory instantly kicks in. He already knows exactly which evenfall blueprints he needs to craft the ultimate kit. Our boy mentally narrows down his blueprint options as they approach the heavily fortified vault. Behind the desk sits a masked employee giving off serious Grim Reaper vibes. The squad leader steps up, flashing that signature corporate smile, and requests access to Vault 99. The massive steel doors instantly hiss open, revealing a pitch-black corridor. Deep inside sits their target, the kind seed kit. The boss explains how it works. You just toss in 2 items, and it literally crossbreeds them into custom gear. But there is always a catch with Daydream Incorporated. The machine charges a staggering 1,000 points per use. The rookie is absolutely stunned. Wait, if this is mandatory equipment, shouldn't the company cover it? His boss just stares back in dead silence. Welcome to the grim reality of corporate capitalism, kid. Supervisors actually get 2 free uses every year. Still, his section chief swore by this early strategy. Trusting him, our boy decides to bite the bullet. The mechanics are simple. Toss 2 items into the void. The machine forcefully fuses their unique properties into brand new gear. Since the rookie is broke, the sniper offers a team tradition. Just borrow our stuff. Our boy instantly targets the scaly boss, begging to see his top-tier equipment. The squad leader proudly unsheaths a literal everyday butter knife. Surprisingly, this mundane cutlery actually slices through space to teleport objects. The rookie's face drops. He desperately needs a heavy shield. He immediately turns to the others, praying for some actual armor. But they just casually flash him a contact lens and some ordinary coat buttons. Are you kidding me? Nobody in this squad bothered investing in defensive gear. Desperate for survival, our boy borrows his boss's space-slicing butter knife and drops it right into the fusion slot. Immediately, the sniper warns him to never, ever feed the machine real plants. The rookie suddenly breaks into a cold sweat. He actually read the classified incident report. Some clueless employee once tossed a harmless dandelion inside, instantly spawning a horrifying abomination that slaughtered 3 security guards. With that nightmare averted, there is another catch. Fusing everyday objects usually dilutes their supernatural power. But his scaly boss just nods, totally fine with the risk. Now our boy just needs to provide the second half of the recipe. He mentally scans his pathetic stash of anomalous junk. Cursed cookies? Weird stickers? No. He needs maximum efficiency to survive this insane company. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the highest-ranked item he currently owns. It is that strange commemorative coin he bought from the company's welfare mall. The scaly boss narrows his massive eyes, instantly sensing its bizarre supernatural aura. Our boy casually shrugs it off, playing dumb to avoid suspicion. It just had a good vibe. He carelessly tosses the magical token right into the dark fusion slot. The cursed machine's dashboard flashes to life, still mockingly begging for forbidden plants. Instead, a blinding green laser scans the young rookie's face, forcefully extracting his genetic signature. The massive steel contraption loudly rumbles to life, grinding the space knife and the lucky coin together. He braces himself as an intense, otherworldly light wildly erupts from the terminal. The heavy drawer finally hisses open, revealing a beautiful miniature garden blooming inside the cold metal. A bright corporate hologram flashes over the magical flora. "Congratulations on your first custom item, rookie." The blue-haired boss looks down at our exhausted corporate slave. "You really went through the ringer today, Roe dear," she smirks, reminding him to test his new weapon at home. Back in the safety of his room, our boy finally relaxes. See, he just combined Chief Lizard's weird butter knife with that silver serpent coin he bought from the alien shop. He stares blankly, fully expecting a legendary blade to spawn. Instead, he's holding a dumb coin with a handprint on it. "How does this even work?" he groans. He seriously hopes he didn't botch the gotcha pull. Figuring it's worth a shot, he flicks it into the air. But before it hits the ground, a ghostly hand materializes out of thin air and snatches it. He flinches, freezing like a deer in headlights. The spectral finger gently taps his trembling cheek. A glowing, floating message appears demanding an inserted coin. He mentally sighs and donates a measly 100 won. But the system blatantly rejects his cheap change, smacking the coin right back at him. Guess this ghost is a total gold digger. He tries again with 500 won. This time, the greedy phantom hand accepts the payment and immediately fuses into our boy's wrist. A translucent third hand pops out, moving in perfect sync with his own. Is this his new custom equipment? He tests it out, grabbing a pen to write down his deepest desire, asking the real question, when can I quit? The dexterity is flawless. It has a 3-meter range, meaning the lazy guy can finally turn off his bedroom lights without getting up. But the catch? It only lasts for 5 measly seconds. Sure, it isn't completely overpowered like his scary boss's butter knife, which can literally rip open the fabric of space and reality. But hey, at least our boy can finally poke suspicious ghost artifacts without losing a single finger. Tucking himself into bed, he feels pretty optimistic for a change. Sure, he barely survived his first major incident, but his seasoned coworker surprisingly had his back when things went south. His manager kindly lent a crucial lifeline, and even the terrifying section chief stepped up to save their hides. Maybe this demonic corporate nightmare isn't a total death sentence after all. He peacefully drifts to sleep, foolishly hoping for a quiet office life. Fast forward to the very next morning, and that naive dream is shattered. His chaotic boss casually sips her morning coffee and drops a massive bomb. "Hey, Roe dear, our department assignment is officially changing today." His phone immediately gets spammed with mocking emojis from those supportive colleagues. "Congratulations on surviving the tutorial, rookie. Prepare for a brutal level up." The company system practically taunts him, asking if he wants a job change. Our rookie looks like a deflated balloon. "I know it is my third day," he grumbles. The crazy manager shows him the official memo. Management is awarding their squad 100,000 points for clearing the epic incident. They explicitly named him as the major contributor. He is horrified. They just painted a giant target on his back. "Is this why they transfer us?" he demands. She laughs. "Not a transfer. The work is just changing." Taking a dramatic sip of her coffee, she drops the bad news. "Until now, we only handled ghost stories with completed survival manuals. From now on, we dive into fresh anomalies with zero info." He is stunned. He does his job perfectly once, and management instantly dumps the uncharted missions on his lap. Before he can curse them out, a voice interrupts. "It's the towering lizard man!" He slams his desk, demanding to know if this is an execution plot. "Are they sending us to die without a manual?" he roars. The rest of the squad holds their breath, praying for a loophole. But the scaly giant shrugs. "I never really felt a difference either way." Our boy deadpans at this absolute meathead logic. Realizing brute force won't save him, the rookie tries a different angle. He cautiously asks the manager if these suicide missions at least come with a perk. She nods. Massive point multipliers. The payout is up to 15 times higher. Instantly, dollar signs literally flash in his greedy coworker's eyes. To these lunatics, 15 times the points is basically a casino jackpot. Our corporate slave smirks. With his overpowered wiki knowledge, this isn't a gamble. It's a guaranteed gold mine. The whole squad agrees to dive headfirst into the abyss. "Let's go earn some points," they cheer, heading straight up to the mysterious 17th floor. This restricted level houses the company's elite development department. The exact place where brave researchers scout out entirely fresh anomalies. As they enter the pristine lab, a new voice calls out. "So this is the famous new rookie." A suave, glasses-wearing researcher steps up, offering a friendly handshake. Our boy just sighs. His peaceful desk job dream is officially dead. Later that night, our lazy legend faces his absolute toughest challenge yet. Turning off the bedroom light. He debates using his ghost hand, but groans. 500 won is way too expensive. At work, our corporate slave meets a new face. The guy flashes a highly suspicious, fake smile. He beams, introducing himself as Kwak Jegang. Jahyun immediately recognizes the name and starts sweating like a sinner in church. Suddenly, his coworker Solium swoops in. Solium bows a perfect 90 degrees, trembling like a homeless guy in winter. Solium leans in and whispers, "Don't be scared. He's just another section chief. Aren't you supposed to be the assistant manager anyway?" Jahyun stares at him, totally deadpan and unimpressed. Jahyun isn't shocked by his corporate rank. He's freaking out because another named character just spawned. "We'll be seeing each other often," Jigang says, cheerfully chatting up a literal lizard employee. This company is a circus. Research Team 1 studies exploring new darknesses. They literally unlock nightmare cubes covered in fleshy mouths and staring eyeballs. And from that nightmare fuel, they draft the company's survival manuals. Jahyun connects the dots. So basically, these freaks are handing out our homework. Yigang grins like a used car salesman welcoming them to the slaughterhouse. He tosses them their next assignment, packing essence collectors and checking the escape records of the poor souls who went in before them. Solium looks absolutely miserable, fuming at the vague instructions. Jahyun is about to tune out when Jigang leans in. "Want to bet on what rank this new darkness is?" he asks, completely casual. He literally pulls up a massive gambling spreadsheet on the monitor. Our boy instantly declines, avoiding this corporate madness. He stares in disbelief, wondering how HR hasn't fired them for running an illegal casino. Totally ignoring the shadowy HR hands currently strangling him, Jae-gang laughs. "Soyum, you've got real guts." Jae-gang skims the official reports with a highly suspicious, smug corporate grin. The Disaster Management Bureau is throwing a massive fit, he notes, casually handing the newly dreaded exploration records over to the trembling deer boy. Relax. Since regular humans manage to escape this darkness alive, it's a D rank at worst. Solium physically recoils, utterly refusing to buy into this optimistic, HR-approved corporate garbage. Jae-gang casually taps play on a tablet, commanding our boy to watch. The screen flickers, showing some foolish, clout-chasing YouTube clown who explored the anomaly. The clown flashes a jagged, deeply unnerving smile at the camera. Suddenly, the footage glitches into a screaming, distorted mess of absolute static. Solium violently flinches as the horribly cursed video screeches through the room. But this isn't just a video. Two mangled, bloody hands suddenly materialize, gripping his very real collar. The bloody, ghostly hands lock tight, violently dragging the screaming intern toward the monitor. Jahyun watches this, completely unfazed. Suddenly, Jae-gang steps in, casually snatching the phantom limb like he's grabbing a stray piece of office trash. "Hey, have a great time in there," the section chief laughs, violently shoving Solium right into the cursed video. "I don't want to go. Cancel the event," Solium bawls, utterly betrayed by his own management. But it's too late. The screen completely engulfs him, flashing a terrifying clown. A twisted system prompt aggressively pops up. "Pierrot hates you." See, this anomaly is an infamous, documented psychological maze. The recovered footage shows the previous exploration team wandering a tight, claustrophobic hallway. It's packed with grinning clown portraits, a literal nightmare trap. Here, the cursed hallway loops infinitely, and the ghost story literally goes on forever. Turns out the screaming faces on the walls aren't actual monsters. They're the missing victims, warped into an eternal circus of torment. A normal person would be paralyzed by this horrifying revelation, but our corporate slaves, they're just severely annoyed. The purple-haired coworker casually notes that the lighting isn't too bad. Over the comms, their lunatic section chief orders them to close their eyes for a full 60 seconds. Standing completely blind in a murder hallway packed with hungry ghouls, without hesitating, our boys just shrug and do it. Even the ghosts are literally confused. Meanwhile, management is comfortably watching the live feed with popcorn, treating this deadly anomaly like a boring matinee. Back inside, the coworker dryly reads the company manual. It says here if we stab the portraits, they'll jump scare us. Hearing this, the demonic clowns start sweating profusely. The squad analyzes the cursed frames. "A few civilians escape through these," Solium points out, desperately hoping for good news. The purple hair guy immediately plans their assault. "So, we stab every portrait we see?" Solium violently nods, completely terrified but ready to bolt at any sign of danger. The Lizard Chief cheerfully approves this ridiculously violent corporate strategy. Suddenly, Solium spots a deeply unsettling clown poster staring at them. A horrifying, glowing-eyed clown head literally phases out of the canvas. Jahyun realizes it's the missing civilian, permanently warped into a circus freak. But our boy isn't playing these games. He already found the exit. His coworkers stare at him in absolute shock. "We've only been here 5 minutes!" Solium screams. Refusing to look back at the creeping monsters, Jahyun pulls out a strange coin, triggering a literal escape speedrun. The haunted circus curtain suddenly falls, instantly ending this completely unhinged corporate field trip. The masked rookie pulls out a strange glowing coin. He tosses it, summoning a creepy, disembodied white glove. His purple-haired coworker scoffs, asking if that's really his so-called exclusive weapon. It is, but our boy needs a lot more ammo to make it work. Suddenly, stream donation alerts flood his vision as some crazy viewer drops a whole $50. He explains that his custom item runs entirely on cash, letting him control it remotely. The brown-haired guy smirks, asking if his grand plan requires this weird hand. See, this hallway is lined with terrifying, bloodthirsty clown paintings. And if you stab the wrong one, the clown literally crawls out to kill you. So the little general orders his team to wait for his signal and only attack the painting he describes. He respectfully asks his section chief for permission, and the giant white lizard boss immediately signs off on the new rookie's insane strategy. The rookie stretches his arms, getting entirely pumped up to try and match his giant boss's high expectations. He turns to his teammates, drops a quick apology, and blasts down the hallway at absolute top speed. See, escaping this specific anomaly is surprisingly easy. If you have nerves of steel, you just casually stroll through and pat the terrifying portraits. But our boy is a massive coward, and hesitating in this corridor means you end up dropping dead on the floor like a total chump. So his only real option left is to initiate a totally panicked haunted house speedrun attempt. Meanwhile, back at corporate headquarters, a smug, gray-haired supervisor decides to start an illegal betting pool on the poor squad's surviving rank. He tries to rope his coworker into the gamble, but Section Chief Kwok just hits him with a deadly, unamused glare. His intense nitpicking completely ruins the fun office mood. The smug supervisor grits his teeth, absolutely despising the rookie's team. He thinks Chief Kwok acts way too high and mighty for a human lab rat. He furiously types in the anonymous company chat, betting a massive chunk of money that the entire squad is going to horribly bite the dust. A clueless coworker drops a boring daily report on his desk. He ignores it, completely confident the doomed team won't survive until his shift ends. See, this terrifying anomaly traps any foolish civilians who accidentally watch a cursed pop-up ad. The only way out is jumping through the exact frame the killer clown spawned from. Since every painting looks identical, the squad must manually wake the monsters and dodge their lethal attacks. The corrupt manager just grins maliciously, assuming the exhausted new recruits are already dead meat. Considering the masked rookie is currently plunging headfirst into pure chaos, he might actually be right. A hand slams on the desk. The smug supervisor gasps in total shock. The squad is already back, casually chilling in the office and praising their newest recruit. The corrupt manager checks his watch, totally mind-blown. They cleared the lethal anomaly in under 30 minutes. He flashes a fake smile, asking if the giant lizard boss brute-forced the trap again. But the purple-haired coworker smugly corrects him. Their brand-new rookie carried the entire team. Gritting his teeth, the supervisor demands the rookie explain the exact escape mechanism. Our boy steps up without missing a single beat. See, the cursed pop-up ad was titled Pierrot Hates You. But in Korean, Pierrot and clown translate to the exact same word. While a regular clown wears colorful outfits to perform fun tricks, a Pierrot is a specific French mime with monochrome makeup and a painted tear. That title was the cheat code. See, they easily located the only monochrome portrait in the cursed hallway. His grumpy, antler-wearing teammate stood a very safe distance away and used the creepy floating hand to remotely poke the canvas. Exactly as planned, the depressed mime quietly vanished without causing a bloody massacre. The corrupt manager's completely flabbergasted, but he quickly spots a plot hole. Wait, bringing light into the corridor instantly summons every killer clown. So how did they find the correct painting in pitch-black darkness? The rookie awkwardly admits their giant lizard boss simply used his terrifying glowing red eyes to casually spot it in the dark. But that is definitely not all. The newbie hands over a heavily annotated notebook. He actually cross-referenced the company's completely useless background lore while inside to draft a perfect step-by-step survival manual. The smug supervisor starts sweating bullets. He realizes this so-called cowardly recruit is actually an absolute tactical genius. The squad reveals their giant boss literally lunged into the dark and grabbed the fleeing mime directly by its collar. He brutally dragged the anomaly out like a totally disobedient puppy. The corrupt manager starts trembling, wondering if they are related. They both have that exact same sly and dead-empty look. He turns to our boy, dropping the fake smile. He demands to know who gave him this classified info. The rookie innocently claims he hasn't received his business cards. But the sinister manager smirks, knowing he is dodging the question. The chief casually mentions another hidden name card, making our boy's heart instantly drop. He's talking about the creepy emergency contact card Solium secretly tucked away during orientation. How does this freak know about that? Solium wonders, suddenly sweating giant bullets. The chief's glasses flash as he suggests using the card to farm points faster. Solium instantly shoots the idea down. The chief just smirks like a villain, asking why he's so hesitant to dial the mystery number. It's obvious. The corporate wage slave is absolutely terrified of getting brutally murdered. The sheer stress of advanced horror events drains his soul, slapping him with an insomnia penalty. For now, the little general is perfectly content, safely farming triple points. Opening the company database on his smartphone, he confidently checks his latest exploration records. Thanks to his meta-knowledge of the wiki, finessing this job is a cakewalk. Working here isn't too bad. That is, until a coworker excitedly announces that the elite Squad D just cleared another major darkness. They managed to crush the horror mission in just over an hour. Nice flex. His managers are incredibly impressed, praising the rookie for practically carrying them through 12 fresh nightmares this month alone. A blonde coworker eagerly shows off his 5,000 bonus points, while our boy casually sits on a fortune. Yeah, the beginner speedrun strat is going phenomenally well for him. But being this insanely competent always draws the absolute worst kind of attention. A bloodthirsty psycho from his badge constantly challenges him to murder contests, forcing Solium to maintain a lunatic facade. Back at his desk, his supervisor drops a very heavy, serious warning. Setting 10 consecutive speed records has definitely put him on the corporate elite's radar. The boss promises the squad will cover him if any shadowy executives try poaching him for a suicide mission. Little do they know, that creepy, bespectacled researcher has already been secretly pestering him. But hey, at least typical corporate rules protect newbies from the hardest assignments, right? Meanwhile, a battered colleague bitterly complains about risking his neck for absolute pennies. It is incredibly unfair that the legendary rookie casually broke the escape mark once again. Over in the supervisor's office, that creepy researcher drops by to finalize the roster for a 10-man darkness mission. The supervisor nearly jumps out of his chair. Since it's a huge operation, multiple squads must team up. The researcher casually circles Squad A on his clipboard. Then his pen moves down to encircle Squad D. The supervisor starts sweating. The researcher smirks, noting the rookies have a bright future. But grouping them with the monsters of Squad A is a death sentence. Wait, aren't they supposed to be the company's elite unit? Exactly. And elite teams don't stay at the top by playing fair. Securing results in this brutal corporate meat grinder always requires sacrifices. The big bosses need a queen piece to clear the board, meaning all lower-tier squads are just pawns destined to be slaughtered. The twisted researcher practically giggles at using them as monster bait. Over at the dispatch center, Solium's eyes widen in pure horror. A terrifying group in tailored suits approaches his team. The legendary Squad A has arrived, looking at our boy like he's an appetizer. His coworker gulps, confirming they will deploy alongside these absolute monsters. A gloved finger taps the roster. The creepy researcher leans over, his eyes gleaming behind his mask, as he singles out the legendary rookie for a chat. Solium instantly puts on his best corporate smile, politely greeting him. But internally, his brain is absolutely screaming as he spots the golden insignia on the man's mask. The executive grins, promising they will definitely meet again very soon. Yeah, that is not an ominous threat at all. His coworker whispers that anyone sporting that gold mark is practically corporate royalty. The elite unit looks less like corporate drones and more like supervillains. But they aren't the only ones joining the suicide mission. A gloomy group sits nearby, the entirely plain-masked Squad Y. Interestingly, their leader isn't management, just a regular employee that everyone deliberately avoids like the plague. Solium narrows his eyes at the masked stag leader. He instantly recognizes that long hair from the horrifying orientation. It is the desperate guy who asked if a wish ticket could revive the dead. The gloomy squad leader promises to explain his grim motives later, which Solium immediately accepts without asking a single question. His swift obedience earns him a barrage of weirdly affectionate compliments from his veteran colleagues, leaving the little general utterly baffled. Suddenly, the psycho researcher claps his hands to officially start the briefing. But he immediately drops a massive bombshell. The company actually knows absolutely nothing about this new zone. The entire room instantly tenses up as the desperate stag questions how that's even possible. Solium stares in dead silence as the masked executive flashes a totally psychotic smile. With barely any recorded survivors in history, this monstrous nightmare demands a massive 10-man sacrifice just to open the front door. Welcome to the ultimate corporate suicide mission, clearing out a cursed, blood-soaked amusement park. See, a while back, 12 college kids vanished while playing a board game at a rural pension. The game was called Gaiety Theme Park. Only 4 students made it back alive. 7 were found dead, and 1 completely vanished. The traumatized survivors claimed they actually got trapped inside a real theme park within the game. Back in the present, our horned corporate wage slave is looking over this exact incident report. His chipper boss slams a box on the desk announcing they finally cracked a way inside. The strategy? Drawing from gotcha capsules. Teams will be split by the color of the game piece they pull, meaning management is deliberately mixing everyone up. Our boy cracks his open and pulls a red pawn. And in this ghost story universe, red is the absolute worst omen you can get. The Lizard Man manager checks if everyone is ready. He flips open the game board and a blinding light swallows the room. When the light fades, they find themselves dumped in a strange void. But there's a huge problem. Every other color has a 4-person squad. The Lizard manager realizes the cursed red team is short a player, and the system won't let them enter unless they have a full roster of exactly 12. That's when the shady, glasses-wearing researcher steps up with 1 spare gotcha capsule. He casually tosses it over to our boy's scruffy, unsuspecting coworker. The poor guy awkwardly fumbles the catch and pops it open to reveal the absolute last thing anyone ever wanted to see, a shiny 4th red pawn. The whole room instantly freezes in sheer terror. Before he can even process his terrible luck, the ground completely shatters beneath his feet. Welcome to Fantasyland, folks. The scruffy worker plunges into the swirling rainbow abyss, screaming his lungs out, while the 4-eyed researcher just laughs at them like a complete psychopath from the safety of solid ground. He cheerfully wishes them all a nice trip to literal hell. As the lizard manager falls, he glares back up, finally realizing they were all totally set up. This corrupt researcher, Kwok Jae-gang, planned to use them as live bait from the very start. See, this 4-eyed psycho is completely infamous for intentionally sending flawed teams into deadly situations just to collect combat data. The poor scruffy guy materializes in the theme park, immediately coughing up blood. He completely loses his lunch on the cobblestone, trembling like a wet chihuahua. Meanwhile, cheerful carnival music blares through the air. Red balloons drift past massive roller coasters and colorful castles. Creepy giant rabbit mascots wander the grounds, laughing with invisible children. The lizard manager takes one look at this whimsical nightmare and realizes just how thoroughly screwed they are. This was supposed to be a standard op led by the elite Squad A, featuring that extremely intimidating butterfly mask lady. But instead of elite backup, his squad is patched together with D-list nobodies from bottom-tier departments. And their brand-new fourth member is just a pathetic lab rat, currently curled in the fetal position, crying. The terrifying realization finally hits him. The company didn't send them here to win. They were sent here to die as mere cannon fodder for the elites. Welcome to the absolute slaughterhouse, boys. The upbeat music completely betrays the reality of this B-rank death trap. Our horned wage slave checks his wrist and confirms the twisted rules of this specific ghost story. See, to return home, they have to survive riding 3 major attractions. But the historical civilian survival rate is a miserably low 2%. He realizes his pathetic D-Squad teammates are completely cooked. Suddenly, the scruffy new guy completely loses whatever shred of sanity he had left. The poor dude drops to his knees and starts wailing at the top of his lungs, screaming and crying to be let out of this whimsical nightmare, which immediately catches the attention of the local residents. Our boy instantly slaps a hand over the crying idiot's mouth to muffle the noise. But it's way too late. Everyone knows that in a survival horror game, you never, ever make loud noises, because the giant dead-eyed rabbit mascots have already found them. A whole pack of these creepy furballs lock onto the squad from the shadows, grinning like absolute psychopaths. The countdown to their execution has officially begun. Before the giant demented rabbits can turn them into mincemeat, our horned boy desperately tries to calm the weeping idiot down. Suddenly, a dark shadow swoops right past him. The scruffy new guy takes a vicious flying heel straight to the jaw. It's the terrifying elite butterfly lady, and she is absolutely furious. She glares down at the pathetic, bleeding mess on the ground, and coldly promises that if he makes even one more pathetic sound, she will gladly murder him herself right now. The terrified worker instantly shuts up, trembling in the dirt. Our boy watches this and immediately misses his actual, competent supervisors. He realizes he is completely stuck babysitting a screaming liability and an elite sociopath. Because according to the Evil Park guidebook, negative emotions like crying are strictly forbidden, and the penalty is literal death. At the spooky theme park, our boy is sweating buckets. See, he realizes his new coworker is not just any drone. She praises his judgment, and he nervously thanks her, calling her Butterfly Mask. She quickly cuts him off, telling him to just call her Assistant Manager Jin. Hearing her surname, the puzzle pieces click in his head. The ruthless behavior, the unique name. He remembers reading about a cold-blooded employee named Jin Nassel, who once infiltrated a killer's bedroom. Basically, she threw away her humanity for corporate efficiency. Hoping to break the ice, he asks if she received her personalized company equipment yet. He shows off his own ghost hand, explaining it can be remotely controlled to touch things. Jin inspects her sharp acrylics and reveals an endlessly stretching, highly durable wire attached to her nail. Without warning, she whips the wire into the distance and violently snags a random, annoying guy. She smirks behind her mask, noting it is a perfect tool for removing the trash. The poor guy hits the deck, groaning in absolute confusion. Our boy and Deer Mask stare in stunned silence. Meanwhile, the creepy amusement park is in full swing. Balloons float past towering structures as the frantic screams of riders echo through the air. And honestly, the wandering mascot characters look exactly like literal sleep paralysis demons. Dusting himself off, the snagged employee awkwardly approaches them. Jin coldly ignores the tension and demands to know his full name. Sweating nervously, the guy introduces himself as Jang from Squad Y. Deer Mask politely chimes in, smoothly introducing himself as Kim Solium. But Jin instantly cuts the pleasantries short. She glares over her shoulder. Without warning, she orders Jang to raise his left hand. He barely has time to react before an invisible force yanks his arm up. He helplessly stares at his trembling fingers, completely terrified. Jin's glowing eyes pierce right through him. She bluntly reveals that she is seizing control of his body because his team is entirely expendable. Solium sweats, realizing she is absolutely right about the ruthless corporate hierarchy. See, Daydream Corporation ranks its field exploration teams alphabetically. Squads A through W are treated as normal, valued employees. But the bottom letters, X, Y, and Z, they are classified as the round-off squads. Basically, they are defective human meat shields designed to be violently sacrificed to keep the elite teams alive. Jin tightens her invisible wire, casually treating poor Jang like a completely disposable marionette. Staring intensely, she tells Solium not to bother learning the guy's name, since he is already marked for certain death. But Solium just flashes a charming, confident smile. He politely apologizes, admitting that he actually prefers having some extra cannon fodder around given their current terrifying situation. He points over her shoulder at the rapidly approaching nightmare fuel. A cheerful, twisted parade of giant, dead-eyed bunny mascots is marching directly their way now. And judging by their creepy grins, they are definitely not here to hand out free cotton candy. The squad stands frozen behind the red velvet rope as the bizarre, twisted festivities finally kick off. Towering amusement floats slowly glide by, carrying an absolute swarm of dead-eyed, dapper bunnies. Poor Jang looks like he's about to literally throw up from sheer, unadulterated terror. A creepy marching band of mechanical rabbits blasts a painfully cheerful tune into the air. At first glance, it almost looks like a perfectly normal theme park parade. Until one of the massive, horrifying mascots turns its soulless gaze directly toward them. A booming, unnatural voice demands that all guests must welcome the parade with a warm smile. Solium tightly clenches his fist, instantly sensing the deadly trap hidden in the cheerful announcement. A giant rabbit leans in close, its unblinking, psychotic stare practically freezing the blood in their veins. With a sharp tap of its carrot scepter, a massive piñata violently bursts open, raining colorful candy everywhere. But in this literal nightmare park, free sweets are definitely a huge, glaring red flag. Solium watches the colorful treats fall. Suddenly, a sickening splash brutally interrupts the cheerful music. A single crimson drop unexpectedly lands on his cheek. He wipes it away, staring closely at the fresh blood, staining his pristine glove. Before anyone can process the horror, the massive mascots begin violently attacking each other. A psychotic rabbit rapidly winds up a brutal swing. Its own massive head bursts wide open, spilling a grotesque mixture of colorful candy and dark gore everywhere. The twisted performers are literally ripping their own bodies apart, just to entertain the traumatized guests. Solium's charming smile completely vanishes. He looks down as a stray, blood-soaked eyeball casually rolls to a stop right at his leather shoes. His eyes instantly narrow with icy precision. The chilling announcement slowly repeats, creepily demanding absolute happiness. But stepping forward through the slippery puddle of guts, our guy realizes the real danger hasn't even started yet. As maniacal laughter echoes through the nightmare park, a lone red balloon ominously floats upward. Meanwhile, Butterfly Mask literally views these expendable squad members as her personal extra lives. Our boy is right to be absolutely terrified. Welcome to the Gaiety theme park. Our corporate slave is stuck here for a mandatory event, watching a giant pink mascot dance through the confetti. But this isn't some family-friendly Disneyland. The bunny's head suddenly detaches, raining a massive shower of blood everywhere. The masked demon boss watches in pure, unadulterated terror. A sick voice echoes, demanding they enjoy the show with a happy face. MCC desperately tries to hold his lunch down as the nightmare unfolds. See, that's the main problem with this cursed amusement park. It throws the absolute most messed up, gruesome events at you. But if you dare to scream or cry, you get instantly redacted for breaking the user manual. Our boy is trembling like a stray dog in a blizzard, begging his own stomach not to puke. His masked coworker isn't holding up so well, hyperventilating and drooling. MC shoots him a terrified look. The guy bows frantically, apologizing and begging for his life, promising to calm down before the park executes him. But wait just a second. A parade of headless, bloody mascots marches right past them. A chilling voice calls out the poor demon's real name. The guy looks like he's about to violently empty his stomach, desperately whispering that he has a major problem with gore. Our boy's eyes light up with pure joy. Finally, a sane comrade in this absolute madhouse. But his relief gets violently cut short as a massive blade suddenly lops off a mascot's leg. A new manager in a butterfly mask struts onto the scene. She immediately starts roasting the trembling demon, asking if he's seriously going to puke over a little blood. See, there's a reason they got dumped into the round-off squad. It's the company trash can for absolute psychos, washed-up criminals, and pathetic cowards. She totally goes off, yelling that corporate slaves are expected to actually work instead of crying about being scared. MC freezes in place. He originally thought this reject team was just a convenient plot device for the readers. But if actual cowards are shoved in here? Wait a minute. He remembers rushing through a hellish mission in record time, simply because he was absolutely terrified and wanted out immediately. This isn't just some quirky character flaw. His new superiors legitimately think he's a completely incompetent baby. One wrong move here and his corporate career is completely dead in the water. The manager coldly throws the crying demon under the bus, ordering our boy to ditch the dead weight so they can speedrun this nightmare. MC stares at the blood and makes a desperate choice. He clenches his fists and stubbornly refuses, telling her to go ahead because he is absolutely not abandoning his useless squad. It looks like heroic leadership, but it's pure self-preservation. If he goes alone with her, she'll instantly realize he's a trembling fraud. She just smirks at his supposed loyalty, bluntly warning the little general that he absolutely won't survive long playing the hero. He stands there bewildered, wondering what nonsense she's spouting. But as she turns to leave, she whips around, launching glowing red energy strings straight at his neck. Our boy gags as the magical lasso violently drags him straight backward. The crazy manager casually reveals that when they first entered this cursed darkness, everyone was secretly assigned a specific role to play. And unfortunately for our struggling corporate slave, she firmly declares that he just drew the highly unlucky red game piece. Tied to glowing red balloons, our corporate slave realizes he's completely trapped in her web. The butterfly manager explains that in this cursed board game, the four of them drew the exact same colored pieces, which means they're forcibly tethered together as a single miserable squad. And in these twisted stories, splitting the party equals instant death. MC is internally screaming at her sharp intuition. He can't believe this crazy woman deduced the hidden mechanics from a single survival case. She compliments him, noting that for a rookie, he acts like a hardened veteran. He deadpans that surviving an entire month of undocumented hell zones builds deductive reasoning. She aggressively yanks his leash, reminding him they move as one. She immediately demands his tactical input for their very next move. Our boy realizes she's a terrifyingly efficient psycho who only cares about results. So he points out a crucial detail on the Cursed Park's pamphlet. The rules explicitly demand teams must ride 3 specific fantasy attractions to win. She notes her wristband has exactly 3 empty slots. They agree to play along with the park's twisted demands, heading straight for the creepy bunny mascots. A boy asks which ride they should hit first to clear this death trap. The butterfly psycho doesn't miss a single beat, immediately pointing her finger. Her target? The wonderfully named Fantasy Train. They cautiously approach the ticket station together. But instead of a cheerful conductor, a severed mascot head greets them at the gate. It rests in a massive puddle of fresh crimson gore. And the park's official guidebook hits them with a brutal final warning. Stay within 5 meters of your squad or get instantly strangled to death.